Well, thank you so much for having me. I came here today because I support the vision of Wa'ala Tigray, which is empowering Tigray communities across the world in order to create sustainable ways of developing Tigray and also developing our community here in the diaspora. I have been following their work since I came here, since I get to know them, and I appreciate the fact that they focus on the next generation and they try to create linkage between the older generation and the younger generation. So I came here not only to pay my respect and appreciation to the Wa'ala community, but also to meet fellow Tigrayans, professionals, so that we can discuss on ways of sustainably developing our communities and also helping Tigray.
There's some people think that there's a little bit disconnect when our people are actually suffering for the last 600 days, and some people think we're here actually having fun. So is any correlation this Wa'ala versus what actually our people are suffering?
Absolutely, because first of all, our existence aims this genocide by itself is an act of resistance. The fact that we're able to walk, the fact that we're breathing as human beings, despite the level of pain and suffering that's being inflicted upon our people back home and here, is an act of resistance by itself. So being here as a Tigray, as a member of the Tigray community, is an act of resistance. Having said that, we also need to understand that if we're sustainably free Tigray, and make sure that Tigray doesn't fall into the traps of this political mahayim, we have to work on things that would help us find solutions sustainably. So for me, what Wa'ala does is look at a problem that we have today and look into ways that we can solve it in the future sustainably. So I appreciate the fact that they're not blocked by the pain and suffering that we're going through, the fact that they made the time to put this amazing event together and put panel discussions. It's not just only dancing, it's also panel discussions, learning from each other, learning from the things that we have been doing so far and identifying points of strengths and weakness so that we can continue to improve. But in addition to that, we're going to help our Tigray community in Chicago have their own community center, which would help the younger generation, especially those that were born and raised in the US, to learn about their Tigrayan identity. Because what is at stake of this genocide is not just only killing our people, it's also taking away our identity, our culture. So if you don't have community centers that equip people with this knowledge, with this information, how do you wish to maintain the Tigrayan identity for the coming generation? So although I appreciate people being intentional and critical of events that are being organized, but I think this one is the right one. We just have to be sure that everything we're doing at some point will benefit Tigray, and I think this will benefit Tigray tremendously.
Organizing a community, organizing an event is not an easy job.
Yeah.
There's so many volunteer jobs. There's so many. I would say about the last 6 months, they actually worked so hard, including hayelom and so many other people.
Yes.
What would be your message to them to actually keep going this? Not only one time, or it's not only 1 year thing, to just keep going for the next 30, 40, 50 years. What would be your message to that?
My message to the organizers of this event is, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for putting in the hard work to make this happen. But next, always remember that you are Tigray. Tigray lives within you. And if you want to see a better, prosperous, and a peaceful as well as democratic Tigray, you have to continue doing the fight despite the challenge you will be faced with. Because at the end of the day, what keeps us going is knowing that it's our identity that's at stake. So despite the challenge, the future of Tigray is on our hands, and we have to continue going. And you will see the results of your hard work. It may not be today or tomorrow, but eventually you will see a bigger Tigray community that is so proud to be who they are, identify as Tigrayans, practice their language, their know-how and language. So keep at it. Thank you so much for the good job you have done so far.
So my name is hayelom, and I'm a part of the founding members of TPN. And recently, we've had a transition of power, and we have new leaders that have joined the national TPN organization. As far as Wa'ala is concerned, I currently sit on the board of directors, leading various strategic initiatives, our auditing, finance, and partnering with primarily with our chair as well as with Aksum and Aziza. And my role this event is helping organize, but also participating in the event as opening remarks as well as a part of the panel.
Okay. So for those who doesn't really actually know the relationship between Wa'ala and TPN, What is the relationship between TPN and Wala? Because those people like actually get confused.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the umbrella organization is WALA, Tigray Communities of North America, Communities Forum of North America. And there are various committees that exist within WALA. One of them is TPN as a cornerstone, as a central figure, because it brings together the youth, the parents, and the community in a very concentrated and very focused set of priorities. You know, personal, professional development, Decade Tigray, like really understanding who we are and our identity, civic and social engagement, as well as building a broader network of various sectors and industries so that we are collecting the insight that we've gained, the resources, so we're better positioned to serve our people here and back home effectively. So the relationship is that all the vision that you're seeing of what TPN is doing is because WALA, in particular Mr. Mulugeta, as well as the founding members, they saw something in the youth. They felt like the time was now that they need to be able to empower us. They've done everything that they can up until this point, and now it's on us to step up and lead. So they gave us that chance, and that's where TPN is the central focus of WALA.
We have seen, especially yesterday, I was actually get a chance to participate in some meeting, and the WALA leaders actually, almost half of them actually the youngsters. And in that sense, do you think, is it recruiting from HPN? What we're actually working? Because the last 20 years, any organization is trying to bring the youngsters to the leadership position, and it didn't work. But this time we have seen so many young people, young girls. So what is it actually working? What are you guys doing different from the past?
I think what we did different, it all starts with the opportunity. It's because we were given the opportunity. And we had humble leaders that were willing to let go of that power structure and give us a chance to prove ourselves. And TPN was that when we started in Atlanta, in the Tigray communities of Atlanta, where we hosted different programs, financial literacy, technology programs, doing professional career training programs, vocational. And so they started to see the opportunities and the possibilities. And so that is where, to me, that's where it all started, is once they gave us a chance and said, you're no longer kids. They stopped calling us, young intellectuals. It is, you are individuals who are professionals, and we trust you. To me, that was a major step. And so the individuals you saw yesterday are all from TPN, the young individuals, because now we have about a network of about 600 professionals within the TPN ecosystem. And we have chapters across, whether it's Tri-State, Dallas, Chicago, and so on, that young leaders are really being developed and are really stepping up in many different ways, because to lead can mean so many different things, right? Showing up today is a part of leadership because you're leading through action. And so we were very strategic in making sure we're cultivating talent, and that becomes a pipeline to the forum. And so the way we structured it is TPN is actually in the bylaws of the forum. It's directly called out. And then we also have our own very specific bylaws. And the way we structured the organization is, at minimum, you have to have 2 TPN board members and executive leaders that sit in the forum board of directors. And vice versa, from an advisor perspective, somebody from the forum has to be advising and connected. Now we have information flowing, right? You don't have to guess about anything. You can see the data. You can have full trust in that, streamlined communication process. And now we have what we have today, which is, 3-4 years later, we're still doing our WALA annual celebrations.
Going back to promotion, I have seen you personally, and a lot of people see you personally doing all this live, Instagram, Twitter, and seeing people here today and yesterday. Do you think your promotion and TPN promotion works?
It's not just TPN. We have leaders like Meaza, who's involved with TPN from an advisory perspective, from the board, the forum as well. So it's more than TPN. What we have learned is we know the power of technology. We know how to scale information sharing. It's not just Viber or small chat groups. We have to effectively use the channels and the vehicles that people are mostly using. Social media is one of them. So because of that, and what we've seen and how we know the inner system, how it works, it is becoming a very effective way of marketing. If you think about, let's say, and I know you asked Meaza earlier around, the balance between doing things here versus, you know, supporting or potentially neglecting our people back home. So if you think about TPN in general, I'll speak on that, and same with the forum, we stopped all of our activities for the first, I think, 8 months of when the war was happening, because we said, we're gonna focus, we're gonna put structure, process, governance, we're gonna put an organizing team together that's gonna help us, you know, solve the challenges of what's happening in Tigray. Social media was that. For the first time, we leveraged social media to get the message out there, and we started to see the footprint grow rapidly. So yes, I think the marketing and communication strategy we have now is working, but at the same time, we also have like TMH, right? Cyber Power of Tigray. They're all getting involved and helping us in this overall communication and media strategy. So that's why it takes a village, not just one group of people trying to solve this. We'll never get there if we do that.
What is the mission of TPN as far as, because in TPN, there is so many cities that doesn't have actual TPN. Some of us, that we don't even know in some cities. So as far as planning, as far as extending this TPN ideas or, you know, what will you plan as a TPN?
So right now, our goal is, there's twofold. There is a local, like, physical presence. Wherever there is a structure that exists, we're gonna connect with the local communities, and they have two options. Either A, they can form a TPN chapter, or if they feel like they have a strong youth organization that exists there, we're gonna partner as if like we're consultants and build a partnership and provide them the resources. Here's how you set up your team. Here's what bylaws look like. Here's a framework of how to run programs. We will run multiple programs with you. There's actually a UK-based youth organization that started right around when the crisis was happening. We spent time with them. There was like 30 of them that joined a call. We shared with them the entire TPN playbook and said, here you go. If you want to create your own, do it. And hopefully you can do it better than us. Right. And then you can come back, teach us, and we can form global partnership. So that's one side of it. The other side is, so that's more of the physical, which is if there isn't a concentration of Tigrayans or a structure that exists like a community service, community center, then we will have virtual sessions. You can virtually create a chapter. You can host programs through the technologies that are available to us. So we use those two models to make sure no matter where a Tigrayan kid is, they're gonna get the same level of support, knowledge sharing, and network that they deserve.
I'll also give you a chance to thank your colleague, especially the Chicago crew that actually holding it down. It's not an easy job. It's last 5 months. It was really, really hectic. To also give you a chance to thank. You can actually call out names if you want to, or as a team.
I would rather call out the team because sometimes when you can name names, yeah. I mean, I know the very few, like 5, 6 or so people, but oftentimes we neglect others who are doing the smallest things that add up. So for me, it's all about how the community kind of showed up. The youth came together, the community leaders came together and are really helping us, and they've been so gracious and so supportive of making sure that we're effectively managing and running this event. Like last night, the house was packed, and that was just a TPN more theme. And I can only imagine the amount of people that are going to show up today. It's because one, the presence that Watla has, the presence TPN has, the presence like individuals like Meaza is doing out there, doing the great advocacy work. But they love the Chicago community because it's their people that they're coming and supporting. So for me, it's all about appreciating everybody versus the individual. And hopefully we will give those who are doing above and beyond work their flowers throughout the evening.
أوعلا تعبزوا كمية لنا. احتفل عليه ختمات مالتي include كندا. أبزوا على جن جويز جبرة community بتاع محداتين. In fact أو كنت شحن 10 ساعات بتاع محدات نيران. أو كنت شحن 20 كلتين قاعد توصلنا community join جرنا الله. نايزن كانوا join زي جبرة للمخنات استفل على المخنات كل خير. نسوقن كم ناي community ناس spokesperson كم advocate leader مقانكي. أبزيت محل في مقطع متهالين تايم.
مجمرة كل جزء خمس عينات حسوات كم تخلوا انت أيو نمن تأيو نحن تيغل لنا سو قبل نحن تيغل نحركوينا نايتي وعلى تجراي كوميونيتي فورمز بحال على مؤم تأيو أجندة أم تأيو مثل نتجراي خونا أبزيز نزلوا تجراي كم يجيروا يمكن تقوموا زحاسوا زبل مجمرة كل سبب حتى العيل خنبوي جبات ناتهم تحدد ردم بمالتي اسم سنبو وزجنيو حق تأيو زحاشة تجراي نخذت لنا مزع تجراي بروحين نخطط أبزل لنا العدة تجارو تبوق زبال successful عوز زخانيوت كن مرح لنا تزكوينو كاب إدنا وعافية زخون لما عنتي زلت كأرشوا تخانة تجري تلخ لما عنتي إسرائيل روعة ساعات من تجري كنسرح نخيرنا جن it shouldn't be at the expense of our success it shouldn't be at the expense of our well-being because هم مدوار it's being selfish إسرائيل روعة ساعات نوعلتنا كيعونا professionally financially نوعلتنا كيعونا نحركتنا فلتت حد شيء نمتنزل لنا سلازم نتجريس بزحشة بمعول زخانة ملكو عين تأمان مالتي so حدا أو زلوا تجري صبوا زخانة عوز زخانة هو كل اللو أو politicians ولا حزي حدش we need young leaders that are going to participate in elections across the US across the world for that matter so تزهلينا نيرو أو الساعات حدا خلت تجري سيناترات وينا كونغرس أولاد تزهلينا نيرو كندزي أي متعرنا نملفعنا نيرنا نخول نايكالوت عدات example تريخهم سلازي خامون نخليتهم من أسات من النتهم كفلتو زو على زيخ إلومي encourage جورومي ناقولت كخصات فوز عدي بقط أواز حاش عقم كل يوم سفلا لنا business opportunity تفتر أنا بزف ولتوي أوش تأتي مقا خالي بزف نجارات تقمتات اللوامو بزف تقم سلازي كله أبقى كحزي مثلا 10 شمونتا أولاتي ينزلوا جن عمل علم تجري زي ولا عدل سلازي أو زخدنا يبوتا أنا أشتي تجري كنا هنت نحن خوينا تناوينا نمسرحنا وزخ لنا مدرخ كلها نقنعت لنا سلازي نوع على كلهم كمتوي أنا زعدم عفلا لا تخلي خليه جن حدا نجرس تعزكوا وعلى تأيو حنت كل سبت أميرات مت من النتنا اللي كنا تجري سفلا لي نائمة ملقطها اللي نقلنا كل كملقط اللقن السب زي قدس عفتي كمان شير النجورة طبق زخانة توفيتنا فوكس غيرهم سلسرحو كل سبب بابوت وشابتر ناي وعلت مسريتو كافتناتهم طبق زخانة لمدناتها مهاركم ما حيشو زقوبهم نجاراتنا ما حيشو بابوت أنت طبقت عمعولات زخانة أشتري تجريات من هنا نقاطي يزعده كالوت محبراتهم بارتنرشيب محزنة فتيرهم بحد مكناتو استفعل لي فوكس زلوهم بزحت ناي تجار محورات اللونا يوم جنوا زيهم كلهم بحد متسينا تناوي ونحن صرف حرزك إلنا working in the silos is not gonna get us anywhere so we need to talk with each other we need to listen to one another حدا redundancy عريلنا كلاك آخر التناوي ونتصرفنا سمر عوتاتنا ونقلناتو we share resources بتعمل limited زخانة resources لنا in terms of manpower بفلتات ولا بقشي مو كل المحورات تناوي ونحن زي سارحة إنه ينخاقوا يخزوا تعاقبة يلن سلازي بحفشة زي معاولة تجرين قتل لنا أو وقت وليدهم زعاوي حواتنا من النتهم أنت قيز الجعو من مقامهم أنت كفلتوا كحفر بخرعة تجرا وأي نقول زقلوهم بقطع عقمنا أنت كنت أقولت كم أنت كنساتف نوع على كل سنة تزاتي بزقات أم زعنا تبقي لي معدي مكروت.
أبتقرني أنا حلنا ناربات نزحلة فغل التعمت ومسكون التعمت قوني خيلي أدفكس الصراح كابتن زفلوت صباح حانت الصغيرة بغني تمارح مالتي قال لي صراحة يكونن أدفكس مالت سنا ويلي أنا إيزي جاب سو بزحنا قد خلي جن أبزح الساعات جن تصرح خيو كله ولا أبز قربا جزية أبز حسن قال عاوز هي الأمبر تصرح خيو صراحة بزحنا قرب لي لنا بس قطع عدة تراخبي لازم تقرأ تزرع كتسمع معك مالتي تام بالك لازم تقرأ محل في ملأت مالتي
نهزو تجري مجمرة إنكو عخاهم تولدكو يا خمس دليل قدمي زدورنت مجمرو بزح إنكو عخاهم تولدنا زبل أبهلا أيرد أن النيرو مكناتو دليلكم كنت فتيرة أو كل كم سو كنا بقات أمن فتر حزكن صنعات زبي أمثلوا زلوا متكل كرؤت اللخو حرانة كرؤت اللخو إنكو عنيمان تجري تكون كنكو عخبز تولدكو لخور سلز جورني بدعم 5 جنيه دليل خلي حزتر إنا زلهم قلعت بستفلا لقات أنا كونكو خالوت تبقى صراحة نسرح لنا بزقالنا يعقم جن ناتكم فرعنا نحنا أفتي زحلف ولدو انقدع تطويلنا إنا نسرح زلنا أنا عدين وعلى خيتم هارت وعلى جأما خي جورت نعيد جأما جزء أتزي تمرن نيرة لما أنت تجور زلخو نجار أي مجبركم أحواتي قالوتون كم ومالت سلزي كولكتيفلي تناي تجري محور سوي أو زبتحنا صوت كل نجورنا إشتن نجار نايكاتكم فرعنا مو نعخاتكم كحسان خفل العد اللي يزن أنا جن بزولت بخمسة راح زي كونه ناتاتكم سقاي أمج واحد راح زي كونس ناتاتكم برهانة ممتع لمعتكم رؤية أمج وارينا 5 من دلي سلزي تسفاي جبروا حد ترجزين كله تسأل ما تنسأوان تقليو أو عدنا متينا سفرست عدنا خنا هنت زعنوا جزاوتنا كنت سرح زدخ توم حواتنا خنا عبي ولا طارز سأن ولدنا نعبي له مدرخ نحوارون معبلت تجراي نفترله بمويانا بتمرتنا بايتا تفتيرو مسزنا بحدا متينا نسرحلو جزء خمس يمنا سكع الشعوجن قبل عليكم يوتح زلوا سقاين شنكن بدعم يردنا يقول لنا نعاون حويسو جن بتنكاركم كل جزئنا ندنا مخناتنا بعد سوات كنا خنحس خلنا نحنا أفتستكم زلخوا وبوتان تنخون نيرنا كم سوون تطوي نخن كيد مخالنا يتأرات ريو قلنا هاتكم صناعة حرانا ما نمزي يروحوا تأمر سلازقون بدعم الخرع أجونا أجوكم دقكم عسرنا 4 ساعات كل جزء تجراي زاد لي أنا قال كل سكع زمالة هيوتنا ولا تتوبينا أو ني تجراي تقمتات دليتات كنك ألس لازقنا أجوكم أجونا أي خالص دايما